Hello and welcome to Scott Bryson Beyond the Service. Hope you're doing fantastic wherever you might be. I want to just do a short podcast tonight on something that actually happened to me today. I normally don't like telling too many personal things or events that have happened in my life. Just can kind of come across as pretentious or, hey, look at me. No one likes that. I don't like it at all. So the last thing I want to do is be some type of weirdo or hypocrite or whatever. But I just want to tell a story because it happened today. This podcast will drop later, but today is, what the heck is today? November the 3rd, I think. It's late at night. I'm tired. I've had a long day. We had to... We actually put one of our dogs down today. She was 16 years old. And I had the dubious pleasure of doing that for my wife because that's what men do. We do hard things for our women, especially when they ask and even when they don't ask. We are to provide and to protect. And that's what I try to do. I don't get it right all the time. That is a fact. But I know I'm a good protector, and I think I'm a decent provider, but I just, sometimes it's not the physical protection, right? It's the psychological or the emotional support that they need. Although my wife, I will say, is much tougher than I. She is, we joke around here a lot. I say she's a man. I married a man, and I joke with her about that, but she's just so emotionally strong, and I'm so fragile. I'm a very type A individual. If you've watched my videos or know me, you know I'm a very type A guy. That doesn't mean I think I'm the baddest dude walking around. I'm no MMA fighter. I'd probably get my butt kicked by half the people watching this thing. I'm way past my prime, and I was never a tough guy per se. I'm a type A guy. I'm highly motivated and self-motivated, and I'm a doer. She says I'm a doer. So that doesn't mean I'm a tough guy by any stretch of the imagination. But I am a man, and I'm wired differently. But when it comes to internal things, man, she's switched on, and she's strong, and she's rock solid. And she asked me today, she's like, hey, can you take the dog? I can't do it. I'm like, yep. And I honestly, so it's kind of like, this might be a weird analogy, like, well, that's your car, that's my car. Well, not really. I mean, it's our stuff. But you know what I'm saying? Like, your wife's got a car, you've got a car, whatever, per se. But that was kind of her dog. I mean, I love the dog too, don't get me wrong. I love the dog more than I thought I did because it was a rough morning for me. And I was in uniform, and I was having a tough time, to be honest. It was tough. But so that's pretty humbling to be a full-grown man in a uniform at the vet's office. Crying. Yes, I was crying. It was hard, but that's cool. I don't care. I'm thankful she didn't have to do that. I'm thankful my children didn't have to do that. My parents have had to do that for me with a dog before. When I was with the Secret Service, I lived a bunch of crazy places, and one particular time, my mom and dad had one of my dogs, and they had to put her down, that was just hard. That put me on a guilt trip because they had to do the dirty work for me. So, Mom and Dad, thank you. I don't know if I've ever thanked you for that. I think I have. I know I was thankful, but thank you publicly for doing hard things for me and my sister and my wife and my children and all the people you take care of. You're good people, and I love you very much. Not really what I wanted to talk about. I was going to talk about something else, which I will get to. But I just wanted to start off like you never should. I should say that you should not judge a book by its cover. Just because you see a police officer or a Secret Service agent or a Navy SEAL or whoever, a firefighter or pilot, whatever, a coach, that doesn't mean that person is having the best day. That person might be having a rough day. So a little grace goes a long way. And what makes me think about that is last week when I did my segment with Haley over on rumble.com/Haley, you can find Tactical Detail with Scott Bryson. It's a shameless plug on Thursday nights over there. But we talk about safety tips and things, and we talked about some of that stuff. So, road rage in particular, you never know who's in that car. You should just stay in your lane, no pun intended. Just stay in your lane, mind your own business, and things will go a lot smoother for you by and large. But what I wanted to share with you, aside from the fact that I started my day off on the wrong foot, you may be having a bad day. Hopefully, you're having a great day. I hope we have more good days than bad days, but it's life, right? There's peaks and valleys and all the things. So just remember this. Somebody somewhere is probably having a worse day than you are. Perhaps they got diagnosed with cancer, or perhaps they just buried a child, which would be, God forbid. Can you imagine that? It's horrible. There's a million things you could fill in the blanks with, right? There's some things worse than death too. Let me throw that little tidbit of wisdom at you. I know death sucks. All death sucks, even for a little dog. But there are things that are worse than death, and you can just let your imagination fill in the blanks, because there's a million things out there that are bad. So just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean you're not entitled to have a bad. You're entitled to feel the way you feel. You're entitled to do certain things. It doesn't. Two wrongs don't make a right. You don't get to, just because you're having a bad day, go off on somebody or whatever. But just keep it in the back of your mind that somebody else somewhere might be having a little bit worse day than you are. And that's why I want to share this. Not because I want you to go, oh, Scott's so sweet. I'm really not. I'm actually not that nice of a person. I've gotten better. I'm on the wrong side of 50, as they say. And so I've gotten a little wiser, a little more knowledge base maybe. But I don't think I'm the nicest guy for sure. So just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt and maybe shed a little light on something for you, but it's whatever. Pardon me. I just gobbled down Chick-fil-A that I did. Oh, excuse me. See there? Chick-fil-A sandwich, 2 sandwiches, no fries, 2 sandwiches, and a salad. I got home, I was still hungry, ate a salad, and I've got indigestion, and it is because it's 10:15 at night. And I did a 25-hour fast, so much for my 48, I caved in like a cheap suit. But I did make it 25 hours. But anyway, I digress as normal. Okie doke. So what happened to me today was I was coming home, I was driving, I was in my patrol car. And yes, if you didn't know, I'm back in uniform. I have never really said much about that because my employer asked me didn't really ask. He told me you can't talk about where you work, which is fine. I talk about my Secret Service stuff mostly. But I'm still in uniform, at least for right now. And I have a patrol car and all the good things. And so I was coming home from work, and because I've been a cop for 30 years, I pretty much noticed a lot of things. And I saw this woman walking up the sidewalk, so I was going this way. She was kind of coming this way, perpendicular walking, So I kind of caught her out of my peripheral vision, and she looked really sad. She just looked really, really sad. And it looked like she was wiping a tear away. I wasn't sure. I'm already running a little bit late, and I'm ready to get home, and I got to go to a meeting at the church and all these things. I'm like, I got my brain's going all these places. I know I need to come home and do a podcast, all this stuff. And I felt like, what do I need? I got that little voice in my gut or my head, wherever, it was somewhere I had that little voice saying, turn around. And I'm like, I don't want to turn around. So I did turn around, but I got to be honest with you, I didn't really want to, if I'm being completely transparent. And the only reason I'm telling you that is because it's the truth, and God already knows what's in my heart. So I whipped it around. I was going, there she was coming up the street, and now she had her hoodie on and she's smoking a cigarette. And if you're a cop watching this, you know exactly the kind of person I'm describing her. And the smell came with it. I'm not saying she's a drug addict. I'm not saying she's doing drugs, but that nicotine smell and the tar, and looked like she's been living a little rough. Caucasian lady, white lady. She looked younger from a distance, but as I got closer, I could tell she was probably 40 something. And I pulled up to her and I rolled my passenger window down and I said, are you okay? And then the waterworks started welling up, and she said, no, not really. And I said, well, why are you crying? And then she said, well, you might want to pull over. You're blocking the road. I'm like, yeah. So I pulled over. because I wasn't sure. Sometimes you roll up on somebody like that, they tell you to kick rocks or something, and most people are pretty cool, but you never know. I had a guy, sidebar, time out 1 second. I had a guy the other day, I was last week or 2 weeks ago, I was driving home and I heard this, it was a dude said, "Hey," and I had my window down because it's a nice day and I could hear him because he goes, "Hey," and I looked and he goes, "F you." It was awesome. Now, 30 years ago, that would have really made me mad. But man, this stuff like that doesn't bother me. And I'm like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I kept going. People just don't like the police sometimes. I guess that's what it is. But anyway, side note there, a little funny for you because this is kind of a heavy one, not too heavy, but it is sort of a serious one. But that was funny. And so this woman proceeds to kind of pour her heart out. She's really crying. She's not boo-hooing, but she's waterworks pretty good. And she's like, "My husband just lost his job. The last couple of weeks have been really rough. And I've got 16 cents," is what she told me. No, she was very specific. She didn't say I'm broke. She didn't say I don't have any money. She said I have 16 cents. And that went, it just got a pretty good little dagger to the old heart. And I'm like, man, I don't have any cash. I'm bad to not carry cash around. I need to start doing better with that. And I've been pretty broke before, so I'm like, oh man, I can resonate, or that resonates. I can relate. And then I saw this dude walking up I'm on a side street, so I saw this big guy, probably 6'2", 6'3", maybe 6'4". He's a big dude, big white dude. She's white lady. And he was wearing like mechanic gear, and he was all greased up, like he looked like he just got off work. And he was walking up the middle of the street, and I'm like, "Oh, is that your husband?" And she said, "Yeah." I don't know why I thought it was her husband. Maybe it just kind of fit the picture, I guess. My totality of the circumstances, as we say in the police world, made me put two and two together. And I was like, well, I don't want this dude coming up on me, getting mad at me because like he thinks I'm harassing his wife or whatever. Because when people are down on their luck, they're emotional, And so I got out of the car. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll get out of the car. So he came walking up, and I was like, "Hey, sir, I was just talking to your wife. She's not in any trouble. She didn't do anything wrong. I just was seeing if I could help her." Because, he doesn't know why I'm talking to her. And he's like, "Okay." And he was nice. He was a big guy. He was dirty, very dirty. And he shook my hand and stuff. Because I said, "I'm just trying to help her." I said, "I feel like the Lord wanted me to turn around and just see if she's okay." Because I was really just going to pray for him and stuff. I don't know. I've been doing that a lot more lately as I get older. I'm just a little bit more bolder than I used to be, I guess. But we chatted for a few minutes, and it was real cordial, and she cried a little bit, and she kind of got herself together, and he was, he was keeping it together, but he's down on his luck too. And I asked about their kids. You got kids and all that stuff, because I worry about the little kids, But they were older looking people. They looked like they're in their mid to late 40s. And they said, "Yeah, we have our kids are all over 18. One's getting ready to go to the Marine Corps." I'm like, "That's good. That's really good." And then I try to ask some leading questions about like, well, what about family and parents and things? Just no one's got room. Da da da. I'm like, "Where are you sleeping in the car?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So made a phone call to a good friend of mine who runs the Lantern Project. And the reason I'm really kind of telling this story is I want to give him a shout out. His name is Simon Arkley. I've interviewed him on this podcast before. Simon, you're the man. You are the man. Thank you, brother, for helping us today. So I called Simon, and I didn't know what to do. And he basically runs this outfit for, he helps women who are trafficked. And I'm like, "Hey, I got a curveball for you. It's not a sex trafficking victim. It's a woman and her husband. Can you help them? Can you please put them up in a place to stay for the night? Then, just get a respite, get cleaned up, get a place to lay down, whatever." And of course he came through for them. He's amazing. So Simon, thank you for that. If anybody's watching this and you know people who are in trouble with sex trafficking per se, in particular, go to the internet and find the Lantern Project here in North Carolina. and they're amazing people. But yeah, so I don't like telling these stories because I really. Some people are like, you're just tooting your own horn. I'm really not. I know I'm not. If you take it that way, that's your own problem. So I'm going to share the good news with you because trying to spread the gospel. That's what we're trying to do. And it was, I was having I had a bad day. My morning was, the day was getting better, but I had a rough day. And they were having a worse day. That's the whole point of this story. And you just never know what's going on out there. And so I said, you care if we pray? And they said, no, of course. And people usually say yes. So if you're a believer, always offer. It gets older with it gets easier with age because I've been around the block a few times and I just don't really care what people think anymore. I know some young people might be worried about what people think. I don't give a rip what you think. So I gotten thicker skin, I guess. But so we prayed, and that was super cool. And they were very grateful, and they gave me a big hug, which was nice. And away they went, and I was able to link them up with my boy Simon. And so later, after my meeting at church, he told me where they were, and I was able to take them some food, and I took them a Bible and things like that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that. Again, I hope that doesn't come across as braggadocio or whatever. It's fine. There are good people in the world, and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Simon. I'm talking about Simon helping these people, paying for their room for 4 nights, I think. 3 nights, I think. No, 4 nights. Yeah, he paid for 4 nights. And so, yeah, there's still some good in the world. There's some really cool people out there. There's some people that are hurting. So the next time you're in a car and someone's pissing you off, just a little grace. A little grace goes a long way. Not only will that could you maybe pay it forward a little bit just by maybe not reacting a certain way. You might save your own hide. Somebody might jump out of the car and beat the brakes off of you. I don't care who you are. Like I told Haley last week, I don't mess with people. I always have a gun with me. I'm the police. I don't look for trouble. I don't want trouble. I feel like I'm pretty capable in most situations. That doesn't mean the guy in the car next to me is not mobbed up, or maybe he's got an AK or whatever. 2 or 3 dudes get out and beat my brains in with a baseball bat. You never know. So I don't mess with people. I suggest that you don't either, unless you want to be kind. Kindness doesn't cost a thing. And kindness, just because you're kind doesn't mean you're weak. So don't mistake kindness for weakness. Pay it forward.